G'day and welcome to another episode. My name is Daethstro, the Aussie Geek, and today we will be looking at Legacy Armada Optimus Prime. As you can see, he's a little shambled at the moment, but we'll get to that why. So we'll be taking this week and next week away from Devastator for the time being, simply because we have this Prime here, and I have another figure meant to be arriving on probably Monday, Tuesday, when this thing will be posted. So we'll get those out of the way, and then we will get back to the Constructicons. And as I said, he's a bit of a shamble. He's sort of everywhere, and I forgot to take my bracelet off again. That'd be right. Then everything's going to be clanging and clinging and everything. So I thought I'd do this first. This is roughly how he comes out of the box. I figured I'd show this because, honestly, the instructions for this guy are both over simple and not detailed enough in some areas. So I thought, you know what, I will show you properly how this guy gets put together before you start your first transformations. So we have these, and you just pop them off. They're the smokestacks for primes. Truck mode, obviously, there's his gun, so that's not too bad. And all these do is plug into the sides here. And oops. And that gives his truck the proper look. Now, one thing also, it comes up with the instructions, but they don't actually get into it in the rest of the transformation, at least not that I could see. You can slide this piece back. And honestly, I think that just looks stupid, because it doesn't even use it in power mode. So I just leave that forward. So that's it for the truck mode for now. Now we'll get into the trailer mode. And I won't lie, I do like the way this looks. Nice and flat and everything. But as you know, that is not how Armada's Prime trailer is supposed to look. So what you want to do, and after you do this, if you try to untransform it, I'll point out why it ends up going a bit weird and whatnot. So what you're going to do, and this can be a little tight, you're going to pull this down. Blink. You're going to pull it down. You might have to get your nails in there because it can be tight. Actually, you know what? I know an easier step, and it doesn't show this. You're going to flip this piece out and just move that out of the way. And what that's going to do is going to pull it out to the side. Then you can get a bit more grip, because it is tight. You just got to get that. There we go. Because it tabs it. The whole thing accordions into here. So it's just a matter of getting that initial piece going, and then you can flip it out to the side, like so. Once again, I got a bit more room. Yep, I can flip that out to the side, and then what you're going to do is this is one of the steps it doesn't quite show you. So the idea is this piece will go into this port, right? Now, if I flip the other leg out for the moment and put that into here, so it goes down, so you got this sort of L shape downwards. What's going to happen is when you close it, this tab is going to go into the side here. And by doing so, that piece is going to sit over the front of it. That slides up, and now we have it tabbed into place. That stays where it is, slides up, tabs in. If I can get it. Come on. There we go. And it just sort of rests against it. And then we can flip these pieces down to sort of, whoops. Oh, and these tabs go into the bottom here. And then put that down. And that does fill in some of the gaps. So there is that. And then you can just tab these back into place. And you have Prime's trailer. Now, admittedly, you can come back here and flip down. I didn't show that very well. This piece here. A bit here. This here. And that is your stand. So that way it doesn't fall over. But the instructions, and not that it's very tight. That one's real tight. This one's a bit loose. I'm assuming it's just a pin. because I don't see. Oh, there's a screw in there, so I might be able to tighten that a little bit. Not that I'm overly too worried right now. But yeah, the instructions don't really tell it. They tell you to fold these out, but not to actually really separate this. Look at the instructions next to me and make sure I'm not eating my own words. Where are we? Because it literally shows you the steps to do that. Yeah, it literally. So, get that out of the way for a moment. So we have it saying you take the guns and blah blah blah. Now, this is the steps I was just doing. So it says flip up and flip out. So that's that accordion hinge. And then we have this here, which comes more compressed and tells you to flip it up and to flip out that piece, which is this piece here. So it tells you to do all that, but it tells you just slide it in. And it does kind of slide straight in, but you'll find it a lot easier if you get the legs separated and then plug it in. So that way the tabs go in the right place and then the legs go tabbed in the right place. But what I mean by, like, it literally tells you in some cases the pegging points. And sometimes you really don't even need to know about the pegging points. So that's it out of the way. So, of course, it can hook up to Optimus. It would be a shock if it couldn't hook up to Optimus. And there's basically a peg back here. And that just sits on top with the tab. And voila, you have him fully operation in his truck mode. And I will admit, I enjoyed the Armada cartoon, even though I was too old for that audience. I didn't mind Energon. Cybertron I didn't really watch much of, but I will say, thank you, Motorbike, I did enjoy a lot of the 2004 Transformers game. I loved that game. I've still got it. My PlayStation 2, I don't know if that still works or not, but I think that's where I enjoy Armada Prime from, is simply that I enjoyed that game so much. I didn't really play it as Hotshot or Red Alert. I played it as Optimus. And for the fact that we got Gary Chalk to come back to do Optimus again after being Optimus Prime is just amazing. And I'm just looking at something here. Also, I haven't seen Rise of the Beast yet. Not that anyone comments, but don't give me any spoilers. And as far as I'm concerned, we should have had Gary Chalk come back as Optimus Prime as well. So that's that. Oh, by the way, you can plug that on the top. I don't know if they're going to release a spark plug for this. I'd be really curious if they do. Actually, it would have been interesting if they had actually added spark plug. But we can do a size comparison, even though this will be a little bit difficult. We have Windblade there, so with his trailer, he is obviously longer. We will ditch the trailer for the moment, because otherwise this next step is going to be a lot more harder. So that is him long ways. Obviously she is wider. As for the trailer, about equal due to those blue pieces, and it's a little bit longer than she is. So there is that. So let's get down to Armada Optimus mode. Yes, there's visible feet, visible hands. They're not too bad, honestly, especially if you're pointing from the front end. Yes, there is the front. So it's not too bad. An extra flap would be nice, but I don't know. I'm not too disturbed. It's not how to put this. It's a chug figure, so I can accept visual elements, especially when it comes to a super mode. If this was Masterpiece, I would be just ape shit. So here we go. All right. So first we are going to start with the front of the truck, and I will point out that it's this one or this one. One of these two. That I'll show the joint. But it pops off mine really easy. So I'm still trying to find just a good way to get it up. So basically, I probably can't show it very well. But, here we go. So there is a joint here. Same is very similar to what we had for the truck and the trailer. And what the idea is, you basically have to lift this up and then push it to the side. But mine keeps popping off, and it can prove difficult to get back on. I am worried one day, not that I transform these guys a lot, but I am worried one day that that could be a problem and it could snap. So there we go. So on that side, oh, by the way, we have 5mm ports here and there, and obviously under the guns. So see if we can do it just up. It's just a matter of getting that going without popping that joint. There we go. All right, next we're going to flip down all this, and we get Optimus's face. We can have that little tab close to the chest once I've got this done up, and just voila. All right, so then we're going to just pull out his arms just a bit. And the idea is we're going to have to shimmy these down. And I admit there is no locking point for these, which is kind of annoying. I just pop that chest out. So it's just a wiggle until you've got it where it's supposed to go. There. And for those wondering how it works with the head, there is literally gaps in the side that go over the side of the head. I'll hopefully show better afterwards. We can then flip down his forearms. And he has double jointed forearms, even though they only work one way. We can flip around the fists. And that's the upper body all done. Whoops. That is really easy to pop. All right, next we're going to do the wheels. And they basically plug in here. And they will come around to this little notch here. So down, around, and in place. Same on the other side. Down, around, and where is it? There he is, in place. All right, we're going to untab his side skirts, and then we're going to lean him forward a bit, just on the knees, just a bit, and providing it doesn't pop out itself, we can then lift up the butt skirt, and we have all his lower legs freed. We can then split the legs. We're going to flip up the front here, and you might want to just put your finger on the fist, because that has a tendency to want to follow through. Just pop that down till it's straight. And then this tab will go into here. And that fixes one leg. So flip up, flip down, and voila, we have Optimus, or Armada Optimus, however you want to call him, in his robot mode. And I will not lie, this, not the super mode, this was the mode I got him for. I did not get him for a super mode. I did not get him for the base mode that trailer turns into. I got him for this mode alone. I never had a really strong connection to Primal. I've never had a strong connection to RID Prime or anything. But because I enjoyed playing 2004 Transformers so much as Optimus, this guy is ingrained in my head as Optimus number 2, which that didn't work too. But he has he has one thing I don't like. His arms. I feel like these should be compressed. The arms are too long. I know why they did it. It's for partially the transformation and the super mode, but I just feel like those arms are too long. They're fine if I compress them, because I can't see that extra bit of plastic. So that's fine for me. But having his arms straight, it looks like he has Primal's arms, basically. So when I have this guy displayed, I will just display him with his arms bent up, so that way it hides that, because it just slightly, it irks me. It just doesn't, proportion-wise, it doesn't look very good. And of course, we can take the gun off the trailer and plug that in, which I find it funny. I do find it a little bit funny that G1 Prime's gun, while it's the right size for him, is a little small. Armada Prime, His gun is huge compared to him. That's not a gun, that's a rocket launcher. A hand-mounted rocket launcher. He's basically got Megatron's fusion cannon except in his hand. And of course, you can probably pop one of these off and plug that in. So that's up to you. And of course, there's 5mm port on the side. So that is nice. So we can do another size comparison. Before we get down to articulation, there he is with MP10. If I get his gun out of the way so you can see him, he's about up to Prime's ribs if you go from the top of his head. His shoulders make him a little bit higher, but they do look nice together. Nice contrast. I really do also want an RID Optimus Prime, so Hasbro, add that to your list. So as for articulation, we'll just get the gun out of his way for the moment. And look at those horrible... I don't know. Maybe if that was blue, it wouldn't bother me. It just... So, head can do a full 360. I haven't done that yet. I think it's a ball joint, so it can look up that far. Doesn't really look down. It can go side to side. I do like the yellow in the eyes. Like, I know traditional G1 Optimus had yellow eyes. I don't know. It just seems better on Armada Optimus, honestly. Arms can do a full 360. They go out that far, and because this doesn't tab in, it also goes with it. Also, that's the other thing that irks me is the thickness of it. If his arms are down like that, it doesn't bother me. But I know the character had him a little bit skinnier, but the arms feel too thin. I feel like it should be a little bit wider. I don't know, just me. We do have bicep rotation. We have, due to that joint, we do have double jointed elbow. We have wrist rotation due to transformation, but no fingers or thumb. This surprised me a little bit, and I understand why. There is no waist rotation, and you'll see why later. Ratcheted leg gets you up that far. Get the skirt out of the way, and it can go back that far. I know I've said this a few times now. It's nice when the leg goes back. Hasbro, you don't need to block it off. Lift his arm out of the way. We can get the leg up to there. Probably get it higher if that skirt wasn't there, but oh well. Do have a ratcheted knee. That gets you that far, and if you want to be funny about it, gets you that far. Ankle tilt gets you that far. Toe goes down further, which in hindsight doesn't... No, it doesn't really work that way. But yeah, it is doable. No ankle, no heel. We do have thigh rotation though. So there is that. Also, before we get out of this mode, we have to do the one thing that every single Prime has. We do have, if you can separate it, a matrix chamber. And it is a lovely little matrix. And I haven't gotten it out yet, so I don't know how well it... Oops. How easy or hard it is. Beg my pardon. So, it's a weird thing. Now, from my knowledge, that's meant to be sort of a rainbow color. It's white. It's just clear. But the only thing that really gives it color is due to that peg that it goes on, and we get a nice sort of reddish clear. So, honestly, I think it looks better when it's actually in his chest. Now, another thing I didn't know, but I saw a video on, I can't remember who it was, but you can... That's going to be fun to get. He has a 5mm port up top for whatever purpose you have there. So there is that too. Come back. Give me 1 second. Got it. So I don't know whether or not Megatron will have the ability to, so you can make him an Autobot and Optimus a Decepticon. So, put him off to the side again, and we're going to get down to the trailer, and this is where things get a bit complicated. Simple, but complicated still. Excuse me. All right, so we're going to get this guy into base mode, and I hope I remember how this all works. So we're going to flip this up and just try to give yourself enough clearance to turn that around. Hopefully, we're going to we're going to flip these up. I'm going to have a distinct feeling I'm going to be looking at the instructions in a minute. Untab the oops. This is one thing I will point out, and I'll show it now. I already have stress marks on this. I don't know how well you can see it. And I think it's because of that, because I forget that I have to untab these first. So just be aware of that. You do have to untab these first, and that gives you the extra clearance. All right, get that all untabbed. Okay, so we want to... Oh, crap. Now I'm really putting my foot in it. I'm really... all right. So we want to stretch this out. I'm just trying to think. I'm pretty sure this is going to flip around. Flip around. Oh, crap. Now I put my foot in it. Oh, crap. All right, so I'm seeing some of this, and some of it's, I'm getting flashbacks. So what we're going to do, oh shit, sorry, I so apologize for this, but we're going to bring this down, and these tabs are going to peg into here, if you can get that hinge going. Oops, and of course that's going to fall off, like so. We'll leave that off for the time being. I'll get back to that. So flip those up. We're going to get this tab back in here. But first we need to get, where is it? That strut out, which is, where'd it go? There it is. So those struts for the wheels, that's going to come out. That's going to come back down again. And we're going to flip that out to secure that. All right, so that's going to go there. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to tab in somewhere. Uh-oh. This is where you all start calling me an idiot. So we'll get that out again. Oops. Try not to scratch shit. Comes down. Put that across. I'm pretty sure that is more for, oh crap, I'm forgetting my steps. I've done this once, so I'm going pretty well, I think. That goes there, that goes there. That goes there, that goes there. That will fiddle with in a minute. Yeah, I'm going pretty on par. Where does that go? So I haven't completely made myself look like an idiot. Ah, there we go. Thought there was a step there. I'm just trying to figure out which way the top bit's got to go. So that's the right way around. That's got to come up. That goes down. That comes up. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty spot on. So we're going to flip this up. I knew they didn't go straight. I'm just trying to figure out how. Because what's going to happen is this is going to go under. And I think there's just enough grip there. There's just enough. See, these legs bits were the bits that I'm like, oh crap, I'm going to forget. But this is going to flip up here. And it sort of sits in on here. So under there, tab that in there. Right. So, pretty sure those have got to go down. So these come down to give you sort of added support. And then we have this. So the idea is that this is going to rotate, providing it doesn't unpeg. This flips up. This flips over. and you rotate it. I could have just left it the way it was, and it goes like that. This flips up like so, and we're almost done. If I can stay in focus, we can take Prime's gun and peg it wherever, and that is the base mode. Pretty damn sure. One quick look at the instructions to make sure I didn't completely make a fool of myself. That's done, that's done, that's done, that's done. Yep, that's it. There's your base mode. Made a complete fool of myself, but that's your base mode. And of course, you can take Prime and position him where you want on base. So there we go. And just for a random size comparison, squeak, there it is with the wind blade. There it is. I'm gonna say this is where it gets awkward. There it is there, obviously wider and obviously longer. Alright. Let's see if I can not make a fool of myself a second time. So, we're going to get into power mode. And I'm curious how it's going to go when and if they decide to release Jetfire. Because I don't know if they've actually taken into account what it's going to be like when Jetfire becomes a thing. Now, my suggestion is to remove this for this part, but I will do it with it just to show it can be done. But honestly, this just sort of is pointless to have connected. So I'm going to leave that like that for the moment. I'm going to flip this up and flip that down. This is going to come like this. Flip that back. That becomes our heel. And flip that down. We can then lower one leg. Same on the other side. Untab, flip down, flip out, flip down, and flip down. And we have that so far. And this is the part where I start to remember where I'm forgetting things. So we can untab that, which becomes our crutch plate. We're going to drop that down and flip these out for the time being. So we have some clearance. Drop, well, not too far because we're going to flip all this around. But what we're going to do first is we're going to flip this back around so the tracks are pointing down. Then rotate that around. And you'll see why in a second. So then we can fold these down. They're not going to tab in anywhere. And just bring, I don't think there's a tab here for this, but just bring the crutch plate down. And leave this red piece open because we're going to need that for the connection. I might have to angle this differently, but 1 second. So we're going to rotate this, bring this down. And the idea is that these two, whoops, can't even see that. These two tabs aren't going to go into here. They're going to go into the 5mm ports. So you want to flip it up until you've got it lined up. And that's just going to sit in there. And then we can flip both of those up on the side. And that's the butt flap. Honestly, I don't think you gain or lose anything by pulling that apart and just leaving this up. You just end up with a slight gap here. But it just seems unnecessary. But it is part of the instructions. So we'll just get the camera up a little bit. Apologies for the motion sick. All right, we're going to flip this open and we're pretty much ready for Optimus. So put him aside, it aside, him aside, whatever you want to call it. And then we have this guy, and this is where we start getting into why we have no waist spool. All right, so first things first, we are going to flip the shoulders back up and they are going to cover over Prime's head. Whoops. Make sure his head's angled right, or otherwise you're not going to be able to get that in properly, like so. There we go. Sort of tabs in, sort of doesn't. All right. Next, we're going to pull out the chest piece and straighten it up. We're not going to do anything else with it. And then what we will do is we will work on the legs. So it's easier to get the ankle tilt out. Excuse me. Flip open the shin, and you're going to just fold this down for the time being and rotate it this way. If you rotate it, like if you try to put this back this way, the hand gets in the way. you're going to rotate it this way. You're going to bring the shin down, which will tab into the palm, and then you're going to flip up the foot, which will fill in that back gap. So do the same on the other side. Just get that out of the way. Put that up, flip it around. That'll tab into place, and then flip up the foot. All right, next step is somewhat fun and can be painful. We're going to separate his crotch. That sounds so much worse. And it folds out when you separate it. That is why you have no waist swivel. Otherwise, you're going to be ripping his head off and severing his hips. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to pull, whoops, wrong joint, the shoulders all the way out. And providing your shoulders haven't done it already, there is a tab here. They'll go in a port up here, which creates part of the shoulder. And where are we? Rotate. Rotate? Is it rotate? Yeah, rotate. And we're going to pull down the hip. So there's the hip joint. And then we can just close that in, which will fill up that gap. It's the same on the other side. So providing that hasn't already plugged in, you're going to flip that around, flip down the hip, close that up, and we're probably going to have to reorientate that anyway. We can then try our best, which can be difficult, and flip up the head all the way, like so. And then the part that I need to try and remember how this works. Basically what we're going to do is there is a tab under here, which is going to go into his back. So we want to sort of see if I can remember how to put this. Basically, we need to flip this down and then flip this piece up like so. So it's basically sitting on top of the elbow like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring it around and angle it up a little bit so it gets past this tab, and then that is going to tab into the shoulders if everything lines up properly. It may end up undoing a little bit of that joint alteration, but it is there. So swing around, get past that piece there, and just tab it in. Obviously, you can spin the hands around if you really want, just to hide that a little bit more. And technically, it should all be hidden very soon anyway. So then we can bring down the shoulders again and rotate them at the bicep. And I find it a little bit funny because that's basically the same thing as what we got for Power of the Prime's hot rod and that. So it's a little bit weird. So then we can flip out his ears. And we're going to shift these back into place. And this is where I first discovered that this joint pops off. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was when I was getting him out of truck mode. So that fills in all that. So that is how we want our Prime looking. And you're probably going to think, well, what's the deal with that? And from just me, we'll get to that in a second. All right, so I don't know how well I'm going to show this. But basically, that won't tab up. If you're thinking of trying to get that up there, it's not going to work. But what you basically need to do is... Actually, we do need to... Do we fold that up? I think we do need to fold that up. Is it? No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Oh, that's what it is. You got to keep all the cab front together. My bad. So this is going to slide in. So you want to get this piece into this gap here. No, I really don't have a good way of showing it. You just have to fiddle around until you've got it. And what's going to happen then is you have these ports, these tabs here, and if I can get his head out of the way, behind his head you have these gray spots here. They tab in there to keep it connected. Of course, then you can angle the rockets how you want. And we have this. And then what's going to happen is, as long as this is out of the way, we have these two pegs go into these two ports. And when it comes down, it snaps together. And then you can just lift that up. That doesn't tab in. And we have Optimus in his, and I don't know why. Oh, there we go. I think the piece there was actually in the way. We have Optimus in his Power Master mode. Give me 1 second. Swear I need to start bringing some water into these reviews because they're getting longer. Now, for those of you who are wondering about the chest piece, if you flip that up, you're hiding his face. So, like I said, that doesn't seem essential to me for either robot mode or super mode or truck mode. So, I don't know. Maybe it's the aesthetics. Not sure. But there he is there. And of course, we can arm him up with his gun, which, I won't lie, does look a little bit, actually, begging my pardon, but in hindsight, that actually looks a little wimpy. For the top half, it's fine, but the bottom half, it just seems wimpy. So, yeah, there we go. So, yeah, not too bad. I will say that the hands don't, they did it right with Commander Jetfire, where you open the hands or you close the hand and the piece come out. So I think it would have been better if that folded back, but that's a technique that I don't think they ever used again after Jetfire. But he does look good. I will say he does look good. He's big, he's chunky. That back piece doesn't need to be there, but he does look really nice. And I'm really curious what's going to happen when they release Jetfire. Well, they're going to have to. I'm sorry, but they're going to have to release Jetfire for this line. If they don't, there's something wrong with them. It's the same way as if they don't release Tidal Wave. And honestly, I would get Megatron just for getting Tidal Wave, or however you want to put it. I might even get Jetfire just because of Prime. But he does look good. I will say that he does look good. He is actually pretty damn big. Here he is with MP10. And he towers over MP10. He's a big boy. There is that. So as for articulation, of course, also you can take the smokestacks, stick them onto the gun if you want. But we'll just get that out of the way for the time being. Honestly, also I'd drop that down because that way it actually fills in the back of his head. So head can not do a 360. His chin is rubbing on either, I haven't gone far enough down perhaps. Yeah, it can do a full 360. I don't know if I'd really want to though. Head can look up that far. Doesn't really look down, and he does have a little side to side, but I feel like I'm going to start popping joints off. And of course, the ears can move how they need to. I feel like his head's not far enough up. I don't know. I really don't want to force things at this point. Arms can do a full 360 on a light ratchet. They can go out that far if you want to use the shoulder, but you can also get that far up if you want to use the rest. So he can go out that far. We do have bicep rotation, which is actually the hip. We have single jointed knee that gets you that far. And this is where I start to move the camera. You can go back if you really feel you must. We do have wrist rotation. We have typewriter fingers, all one pin. Thumb does not move. And I suppose if you really wanted to, you could always flip it open if you wanted to go up and down for some weird reason. Which, ironically, I think the foot actually keeps it from doing that anyway. Oh, well, it probably does both anyway. Anyway, so we can lift up skirts. And the butt plate really gets in the way for this. But we do have leg goes up that far. Leg goes back that far because you start running into things. I don't even think, yeah, that's about as far as I can go, especially with the ratchets. We get out that far. So I'm going to start coughing again in a minute. We have thigh rotation. Knee bend gets you that far. We have more ports if you want to try and use those. We have a huge ankle tilt. We do have slightly up on the toe, but no down. And we can go down, up and down a little bit on the heel. So there is all that. Now, it doesn't have a matrix chamber to my knowledge. Pretty sure it doesn't, because right now that's all the way at the back. I'll make sure I didn't forget to show off something. No, matrix chamber's stuck. That's not happening. But I suppose if you want to, you can always pull that off and find something to put in place. So there is that. I feel like the head's not far enough up. But we're almost done. This video is a long one because bugger doing multi-videos anymore. Multi-parted videos. That sounds slightly better. Alright, so let's get this guy back into his truck mode. I was wondering how I was going to do this, and now I know how I'm doing this. So, same dealio as we did before. That's just going to pull forward a little bit, and you're basically going to pull back, try to pull back, to try and untab. Oh, God, knew it was tight. There we go. Requires a little bit more force than I am really happy about. And then we can try to get up behind his head. Probably fold his ears forward a little bit, although I don't like that. Flip up that and flip all that out. And we'll get back to the top half of Prime in a second. So we can fold this down. We can fold this down. Excuse me. And we're going to start by flipping this up, rotating that around because that's going to go flat in a minute. We can get this out of the way. We're going to rotate all this around. And we want to rotate that. And then we can come under here, untab all this. By the way, if you try to fold that down, you're basically going to pop that or break the pin. Rotate. Do you want to rotate? No, I don't think I do. No, go up, down, up and down. I'll figure that out when I get to it. Alright, so what we want to do is we're going to flip toes up, flip this down, toe up, flip this down. We're going to straighten that out for starters. Alright, so this is going to come up. So that will... I'm slightly getting ahead of myself. I slightly am. So this is going to come down. We're going to... Oops, didn't see any of that. That was really appreciative of me. It wasn't just hide everything from you. So we're going to come into here. We're going to untab this. Oops, untab this first. I did that while I was messing with it and forgot. Flip that out. We're going to flip that back in and that around. Same with the other side. Flip that down. Untab that. Flip that around and flip that up. We're not going to quite do these pieces yet. We're going to bring this down. And yeah, is it that way? Yeah, it's this way. So bring that around, pull that down, flip these up, fold this down so you have sort of that L shape again. Bring that up, slide, whoops. I swear, honestly, the amount of times I do that, I feel like one of these days, if that wasn't one solid, if it wasn't two pieces, I'd have probably broken it. So tab those back in there. Try to find the tabs in the bottom, like so. flip those down, flip this out, that'll tab in the top there, flip that out, that will tab into here, and that will go into there, like so. And ironically, that reminds me of Fans Toys Motor Master, which when I get to that, that's going to be fun. So flip that back, flip that in. You can try to flip that down. I don't think it really makes too much of a difference. And then this comes down. And where is it? It should be... I'm sure there was 2 tabs. There's a tab somewhere. Anyway, this is going to come down. Ouch. As far as it'll go. And just sort of sit on the back there in that groove. So there is our trailer done. And I'll put down things so it at least sits flat. Alright, trailer done. And gun. Trailer. Alright, Optimus. Oops. That other one's too loose. Alright, Optimus, get him back into his truck mode. Alright, so what we're going to do is we'll just close up those hands for the time being. We're going to come back here. We're going to... what we might do is untab this and untab this. Bring his leg up, and I will reorientate that in a minute because I'm... that's the back end. So it has to be this way. No, this way. Alright, so that is our inside leg, our butt plate, and our side skirt. Won't plug that in because I'll need that for later. So what we can do is flip that down, flip that back. So like I said, it won't go all the way up because the fist's going to get stuck, but that should be enough leeway to get that foot down, fold it back so it will come through the other side. And since this is how we're going to leave it, we're going to flatten that down, and that is our foot all done. So straighten that out, figure out where the butt plate is, rotate that away. We're going to flip this up, flip that out, flip that all the way around, fold that through, close that up, and that's another one done. And we won't tab that into place just yet. Alright, we're going to untab the hands and sort of rock and out. So try that again. Just untab. If you can grab the right piece of plastic. Untab, rock up and around. We're going to push the ears back like so. And I'm just going to look at that joint. Oh yeah, I could have got a little bit high, but that sort of starts untabbing spots. But it would have gone a little bit higher. So just give that a little squeeze. That will just push in until it sits flat like so. And then what we can do is we can bring these down like so. And then what's going to happen is these tabs are going to go into these ports. And providing I've got this the right way around, we're going to bring them in at the shoulders so it'll go around the head. Give them a squish, give it a squish, and that gets us our crotch back to the way it was supposed to be. And then we can, of course, tab that into place, bring them forward a little bit, bring that back to tab them into spot, fold those in, and rotate the wheels. I just tab in the sides there, and we're almost done. We can straighten out the arms and just flip. Straighten the arms and just flip there. So we have that little gap. There and there. And we're almost done. We can then straighten out the chest piece again. We're going to fold these down, and there is cats. There is a tab here, which will go into, if I can focus, that port there. Doesn't hold very securely, but it is a thing. Like so. That's going to go on both sides. And providing they didn't pop off, they should be in the same spots. You can then bring this up, and there's, where is it? These 2 tabs here. We're going to these 2 ports here. That goes up. And then these 2 red pieces are going to go into here. Oh, whoops. I screwed up. We need to get them out of the way after all. Probably don't need to go all the way, just enough to give some clearance. Bring that up, keep them together, tab that back in, and I'm getting taut on things, so I'm probably going to go wider than I think. Like so, because basically we got to get these past these silver pieces. The tabs in there. Try to do it. Come on, don't unplug for me. There we go. There is Optimus back in his truck mode, unfocused and all. So there he is. So I am really curious to see whether or not they do a Jetfire. If they don't do a Jetfire, there is something wrong with them. Like I said, while I'm not the biggest Cybertron Unicron trilogy fan, this probably sounds better, I do enjoy Armada Optimus, and ironically that moved while I was fiddling with things. So I would feel incredibly sorry to the Armada Transformer fans out there who don't get a spark plug, who don't get a Jetfire, who don't get a tidal wave. I really want a tidal wave. I was all for a Titans tidal wave, but yeah, that's not happening. We're getting the Nemesis instead, which is not a bad thing. And of course, it's got to fit on Megatron anyway, so they couldn't make a Titan anyway. But there we go. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give me a thumbs down. I promise you it will not hurt my feelings. Subscribe, ring that bell, leave me a comment. Let me know, did you grow up with Armada Prime? Is this guy your Optimus? As G1 is for mine, and I'm pretty sure Primal is for others. I hope those of you who have gone and seen the Rise of the Beast have enjoyed it. I will go see it when I get a chance. As long as it's on par with B, will hopefully enjoy it. If it's anything like the last night, I'm going to be walking out there going, that was a thing. But thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.